to say anything now because of live stream. I'll take it. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. All right, man, I'm letting you take care of the questions today. I'm just getting my phone in my pocket. Taking a vacation. He hasn't been here, so I think now we got enough people here to take control of the questions. All right, so what we're going to do today, inshallah, we're going to read this one chapter in Adab al-Mufrad, and then we're going to finish up what I tried to get done in Miftah, Dar al-Sa'adah, but I didn't get to what I wanted to get to. So since I didn't get to what I wanted to get to, I'm going to read what I wanted to read. I'm not going to read all the introductory things. I'm just going to read what I wanted to read. So, all right, so where do we start? All right, chapter number 81. Adab. Man mata lahu saqf. No complex questions to you.
Like for me or on the chat?
I don't want any complex questions. 1 + 1 is 2. X minus Z equals Y squared.
Why the sky is blue? No, none of that.
None of that stuff.
Right.
Not today. Not after this guy encouraged me to go eat lasagna. I told you last week we had spaghetti, or when was it?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was one live stream, and I said I'm stupid tonight that we ate spaghetti, because spaghetti just sits in your stomach like a rock. Lasagna's worse.
Oh yeah.
I feel like my stomach is anchored like right now, So it's not good. All right, so bab man mata lahu saqf, not saqf. All right, this is a mistake for me. Saqf is a child that dies from a miscarriage. So because here in Bukhari, he talked in the previous chapters about what? A person who loses a child. Like I said, that's why we hurried up and read through that very fast, because we don't like to, it's a part of our deen to know the fadl of those chapters, but it's, as a father, it's one of those things you don't want, scary to read about. Scary to read about. Because Allah can test us with any one of us with that. So, but this one is for now this is dealing with just the woman if she has a miscarriage. Now obviously the miscarriage is only an issue, or it's a major issue if what? Child reaches what age in the womb?
3 months?
Second trimester.
6 months?
40 days.
40. Oh, 40 days, yeah, 40 days.
What is going on with you guys today? Go back to the Hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. And خلق أحدكم يجمع خلقه في بطن أمه 40 يوما نطفة ثم يكون علقة مثل ذلك ثم يكون مضغة مثل ذلك. So how many days is that? 40. 40.
Oh.
120.
120. So how many months is that?
4 months.
4 months. Come on, man. I said I don't want the X minus Y. You guys are failing math already. Yeah, so 120 days. All right, it's 4 months. So after 4 months, ثم يرسل إليه ملك فينفخ فيه روح. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the angel, and the angel breathes the soul into the fetus, right? And then it becomes a life.
That's important scientifically for what they are doing.
How does Kuffar know this? They know this because this is when the child gets the heartbeat.
Wow.
So imagine it's like they know because they do the little, what do you call that thing with the women? Huh? Ultrasound, and they see that the child's got a heartbeat. How is it not a living being if it has a heartbeat? Come on, these Kuffar know that, akhi. This is all about, we can't talk about this on YouTube, but it all goes back to their witchcraft origins and sacrifice.
I'm just saying how scientifically Allah, he proves 1,500 years ago with,
He created us.
Yeah. That's the proof of the Quran right there.
But he said after that, he said, فَيُنْفَخُ فِيهِ رُوحٌ. So then the soul is breathed into him. So obviously at the time that the soul is breathed into the fetus, the heartbeat's going to start, and then that's it. Now it's alive. He said, ثُمَّ يُؤْمَرُ بِأَرْبَعِ. These waters are not cold, Robert.
No, I see.
They're like they've been left in the car during Dhuhr.
Let me get some up here.
He said he's going to pick up something like this.
There's something down there?
Nah, he went downstairs, that's all he could find. Unless there's like buried down into the,
I know where they at.
y'all wanna go down there?
So there's some of them frozen, but.
That's good, frozen is good right now.
Go.
Cause it's not that hot outside, but it's hot in here. We just now turned on the AC. So then after that he said, well, you maru bi arba'i kalimat. Alright, then the angel is commanded to write 4 things. What are those 4 things?
Provision.
Yes,
His
no, y'all gonna get some cold water, man. Need that water.
You can always tell us.
هذا مثلج. هو نعم صح. يضم. It's gonna melt. Especially in here. يُمَرُ بِأَرْبَعِ كَلِمَاتٍ. So the angel is commanded to write 4 things. What are those 4 things?
His provision, his time of death, his work, and if
His
he's
actions, not his work.
his actions.
He's gonna work at McDonald's.
No.
Come on, man. His actions.
His actions.
And shaqiyun aw sa'id.
Stressed or happy. Like someone of stress or someone of happiness.
Well, I mean, Sa'id, he's going to Jannah, Shaqi, he's going to the hellfire.
Hmm.
Yeah, so all of that's written for him when he's in the womb of his mother. All right. So the sidq here, when we talked about this, the miscarriage, okay, it becomes a bigger issue when the child is reached, when the fetus has reached 4 months or above, because now it's alive. It has a heartbeat. You start to become attached to it. Before that, before the heartbeat, before it's really anything, it's just like a clot. And then, it's not really a big deal. But now it's actually formed into an actual baby with a heartbeat, with a life, with a soul. Now you start to become attached to it, and now you feel more pain and losing. If something happens, a woman has a miscarriage at this point. Which I don't think they call it. When did they stop calling it a miscarriage?
I think they still.
No, but I'm saying there's a certain amount of months that they stop calling it a miscarriage. It's only a miscarriage to like a certain amount of months, and then it's just like
Probably after 8, 7, 8.
all right, but so because obviously when it gets to 8, it's not a miscarriage anymore. It's like a
Well, yeah, you can live after
yeah,
1 8 months.
freeborn. Like what do you call that?
I think 6 months. They've had preemies 6 months. That been
Yeah. All right, so maybe like 4 to 6
5
months.
months. Yeah,
So like 4.
he lived 5 months.
Maybe about 4.5, 5 months.
Wow. Okay, that's proof there. You can't argue with that.
All right. So باب من مات له سقط. So حدثنا إسحاق بن يزيد قال حدثنا صدقة بن خالد قال حدثني يزيد بن أبي مريم عن أمه. All right. So this Yazid ibn Abi Maryam, his mother and أمه is مجهولة. So this hadith is like because of the mother. They, Yazid, they said they looked for a biography for her, they couldn't even find anything. So for her to narrate hadith now, and then she narrates it from Sahabi. So and Sahal ibn al-Hanbaliya رضي الله عنه كان لا يولد له فقال لأن يولد لي في الإسلام ولد صدق فأحتسبه أحب إلي من أن تكون لي الدنيا جميعا وما فيها وكان ابن الحنظلية ممن بايع تحت شجرة. So he said, Sahal ibn Hanbaliya, he said, they mentioned that he never had a child that was born for him. Like he couldn't have somebody, either him or his wife, they couldn't have children, right? So he didn't have one. And he said, if a child was born for me in Islam, he said, لأن يولد لي في الإسلام, for a child to be born for me in Islam and it's a miscarriage, and I'm patient with that miscarriage, I'm patient with it. He said that's more beloved to me than to have everything in this dunya. He said just to have one child that dies at a miscarriage from a miscarriage is more beloved to me if I'm patient than everything in the dunya, because of the reward that he gets for that, for being patient. He said, وَكَانَ ابن الحنظلية ممن بايع تحت شجرة. All right, what is that? Bay'at, gave the pledge of allegiance underneath the tree. What is that?
سورة الفتح لقد رضي الله عن المؤمنين إذ يبايعونك تحت الشجرة تعلم ما في قلوبهم.
And how many were there?
الله أعلم على الله.
How many?
How many people were up under?
How many people gave their pledge of allegiance underneath the tree?
A couple thousand.
Was it 40? Or 15, right?
Well, I guess 70, 75. I don't know, I got 76.
It's from Surah Al-Fatih,
We
right?
learned two things. Number one, you don't know the answer. And number two, all of you are horrible guessers. So, 1,400. 1,400.
It was from Surah Al-Fatih, right? Surah Al-Fatih.
What the exact number?
No, like from the context. لقد رضي الله عن المؤمنين إذ يبايعونك.
But the hadith is Jabir. Hadith is in Jabir. It's in Bukhari and Muslim. Alright. So Ibn al-Hanbaliya, he was one of those 1,400 people. Alright, but this hadith, like I said, is da'if because of Yazid. Yazid is majhula. And what do we say that means when we say somebody's majhula or majhul?
Not known. Not known.
Well, it is. She is known.
Their
known who she-
biography is not
Huh?
known. Their biography or their past is not known.
Yeah, their ability to narrate hadith and whether or not their hadith is accepted is not known. They're not known as being those types of people.
That recite hadith.
Yeah. Because you might get a person who sat with a sheikh. He might be a taxi driver, Akhi, but he just happened to sit with the sheikh that day, right? And then he goes out and says, call the sheikh, kada wa kada wa kada. He narrates something from the sheikh because that's what he heard in that class. But then if you ask the other students, they're like, do you know him? And they're like, what? No, we've never seen this guy before. You know, because he just got that little snippet, that little information from that day that he sat with the sheikh.
So,
But they don't know who he is. They don't, nobody can attest, like, okay. And so when you go and you ask the other students, did y'all hear this from the sheikh? They say, no. We don't know that we heard this. We don't know because the sheikh says a lot of things we don't know. We didn't, memorize this specific information. So at that point, we won't take that. He might be honest. He might be truthful. And he might, mashallah, memorize it word for word. But because we don't know who he is, we don't accept the information from him.
yeah, it's just protecting, the thing.
Yeah, because he's unknown. So he has to be known as a person of hadith. He might be known as a person, but he's not known for narration of hadith. So in that case, no, we don't take the hadith from him. All right, so hadith number 153. We're going to try to just knock out this whole chapter. It's just 3 hadiths. Actually, it's only this hadith. There's 153, 154, 155 is one hadith. He just, for some reason, he separated all the 3 parts, but it's one hadith. حدثنا محمد بن سلام قال أخبرنا أبو معاوية here is Muhammad ibn خازم بميم not with a nun الضرير because he was blind, which is kind of interesting because his laqab is al-Darir, and he's narrating from who? Al-A'mash.
The mean one.
Yeah, but Al-A'mash also because he's blind. He has a sickness and an ailment in his eyes. So Muawiyah قال حدثنا الأعمش. A'mash man, what is his name? What are you looking at your book for? You ain't gonna find it there. You're trying to hide in your book. You see what I tell him? I said, what's Sulaiman? Oh, I was just about to give you his whole name. What's Al-A'mash's name? He starts to like curl up into his book. Can't hide in your book. Sulaiman ibn Man. I gotta open up the man. I gotta open up the chat because the problem is sometimes they answer. You guys don't answer.
No, they're not answering.
Yeah.
Is it too steady?
No, not a two-story. Two-story is sahal two-story. Where do you get a two-story from, man? Two-story is way later. No answer.
Sulaiman ibn Mahran?
Mihran. Yeah. Did somebody say that, or do you?
No, I said it on the.
I'm saying, did somebody put it near Abu Muhammad Sulaiman ibn Mihran? That's Hamid. Stop trying to.
No, it wasn't Hamid.
Hamid's the one that said it.
No, it was Min al-Muslimin.
Well, okay, I didn't see that. Yeah, Sulaiman ibn Mihran, yeah. And then Hamid also said it. So 2 people answered, and you can't answer.
They probably went on Google. You probably went on Google.
Probably.
Because
Alright, عن إبراهيم التيمي عن الحارث بن سويد عن عبد الله here is ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أيكم مال وارثه أحب إليه من ماله. So he asked the companions, he said, who from amongst you, the money of the people that they inherit from is more beloved to them than his own money? Because obviously, what's the money that's more beloved to you?
money you get from a halal job.
The money that you earn, that's more beloved because you earned it. You work for it.
That's true.
The money that you just get somebody, from inheritance or anything, you don't take that money as seriously as the money that you work for. The money that you work for, you're serious about it. So he said, أَيُّكُمْ مَالُ وَارِثِهِ أَحَبُّ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ مَالِهِ. He said, which of you thinks that the money that he inherits is more beloved to him than the money that he earns, his own money? قالوا يا رسول الله ما منا أحد إلا ماله أحب إليه من مال وارثه. There's nobody from amongst us except for the money that he earns, his own money is more beloved to him than the money that he inherits. Said فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. But you got to understand that he's setting them up, right? So he's asking this question for a purpose. It's not that they think that he's asking about one thing, but he means something different, and that's what we're going to see. He said, فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اعلموا no أنه ليس منكم أحد إلا مال وارثه أحب إليه من ماله مالك ما قدمت ومال وارثك ما أخرت. He said, and know that nobody from amongst you, and there's nobody from amongst you except the money that he inherits is more beloved to him than the money than his own money. And he said, مالك ما قدمت. The money, your money is what? The money that you spent, with fulfilling the rights of people, giving in charity. This is your money. Because why? This is what you're going to get the reward for.
Oh.
He said the money for the inheritors is what? Ma akhart. The money that you died and you didn't do anything with it, and then the other people just inherited it. That's their money. That's not your money. That's their money. Your money, what you get the reward for, is what you put forth. All right. Then he said, قال وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما تعدون فيكم الرقوب. Then he said, who do you consider amongst you a raqub? The raqub is a woman who, like a child, like she might have a child. Some of the people say that she doesn't have a child. And then other people say, no, she has a child, but the child will never live. Like every time she has a child, the child dies. So this is called a raqub. So the child is like it never lives. La ya'ishu laha walad.
That is like translated barren.
No, she has a child. But every time that she has a child, it just dies.
Sheikh
It's just Allah tested her like that.
Sheikh Al-Albani said, it means التي مات ولدها.
Huh?
Sheikh Al-Albani said it means التي مات ولدها.
القاموس قال لا يعيش لها ولد. Alright, so the dictionary said, like she has children but they don't live. Right? So she might have 5 or 6 children but they all die. Alright, so she's alone. She has no children. He said, مَا تَعُدُّونَ فِيكُمْ الرَّقُوبِ. He said, so who do you consider this person amongst you? They said, قَالُوا الرَّقُوبُ الَّذِي لَا يُولَدْ لَهُ. So he said, because this is the definition that they gave, he said that a raqub is the person that we consider a person that, nothing is born from him. This is not barren though, because barren is what?
You can't get pregnant.
No, but there's another word for it in Arabic. It's not raqub. What?
Right?
Huh?
Oh, never mind.
You don't know.
You see it again.
Barren. If a woman's barren.
حاملة. A woman who's pregnant, right?
Barren, man. She
She
can't
can't
have
get
children.
pregnant.
Oh, she's pregnant. Oh, she can't.
Yeah, I was waiting for him. Yes. وهذا بعدي شيخه.
Oh.
All right.
Surah Hud.
What's this? It's because al-ba'al is an actual Yemeni word. And what is the word ba'al is a Yemeni word that means what? A husband.
Oh.
So he said, مَا تَعُدُّونَ فِيكُمْ الرَّقُوبِ قالوا الركوب الذي لا يولد له. So the rakub is the person no child is given birth for him. But it means that like I said, the actual definition is what? That the child is born but it doesn't live. Alright, it doesn't survive. It doesn't survive. لا ولكن الركوب الذي لا يقدم من ولده شيئا. So he said no, a rakub, and because he asked him what the definition is amongst them, right? And then this is what the Prophet ﷺ does a lot. As you remember, when he asked the people about, he said, "Man al-muflas fikum." And what did they say? They responded with the understanding in the Arabic language, right? Al-muflas fina man la dinar lahu wa la dirham. That he has no money, basically. He's muflas. He has no money. And then what did the Prophet ﷺ? But then the Prophet ﷺ gave them the understanding, the istilah of Islam, like the understanding of a muflas in this deen. And then what did he say the muflas is?
Like the one who has a lot of good deeds, like from salah.
Yeah, he comes with like salat, with siyam, with hajj, and all these good deeds. وقال شتم هذا وضرب هذا وأخذ أموال هذا. So then يأخذ هذا من حسناته وهذا من حسناته حتى إذا فنيت حسناته. Now he's like what? Yeah, and then he takes from there. This is the muflis. This is the real muflis. Because when the people give the definition of the muflis and what? And the dunya. But that's not the real muflis. The real muflis is the one that comes on the day of judgment and he has nothing. So this, you see that the Prophet ﷺ asks him these questions. But then he gives them the definition. They give the understanding of what they understand in the language. And then he gives them the understanding of this is how we understand it in Islam. So when he asked him the same question, مَا تَعُدُّونَ فِيكُمْ الرَّقُوبِ, he was asking them in the language, what do you guys consider a raqub indakum? And then they answered, but then he said no. He said a raqub indana, like in his deen. وَلَكِنَ الرَّقُوبَ الَّذِي لَمْ يُقَدَّمْ مِنْ وَلَدِهِ شَيْئًا. It means that he didn't, like he had children and all of them lived. Alright, and all of his children lived. So he said that is a raqub in this deen. And then after that he said, because again we're talking about what? In the previous chapters, what we're talking about.
Wait a minute, you're talking about men now?
Anybody, the Muslim, any man or woman. Because obviously if the child dies, it's going to affect the man and the woman. Yeah. قال وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما تعدون فيكم السرعة. So he said, and then he asked him what? What do you consider amongst you a sur'a? A sur'a is what? Now they gave the definition based on the Arabic language. قالوا هو الذي لا تسرعه الرجال. Whenever he's wrestling or fighting somebody, nobody can overpower him. That's the sur'a. That's amongst them. From Masara'a. Masara'a, right? Yeah. So he's talking about a sur'a is the one that he can't be defeated in wrestling. He can't be defeated in wrestling. فقال لا ولكن السرعة الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. He said no, but he said the real like strong person, the real is the one who overpowers it, like he controls his anger, controls himself when he gets angry. He controls, and this is not for everybody. All right, this is for the person who what? He gets angry,
Controls his anger.
but he has the means. Or like a little 130-pound kid getting angry at a 250-pound dude that will smack him and knock him to like Okinawa is not going to be like, oh, he's controlling himself. No, he's protecting himself from a trip to the hospital. But now that 250-pound dude who's getting annoyed by this little 140-pound kid that he could just yoke up and throw out the window, but he controls himself. That's where the edge. That's what he's talking about. You have the means. It's not just like a little loudmouth who says, "No, I'm going to control myself." No, you're going to control yourself because you're scared. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the person who has the means of exacting pain on this person, but he controls himself. He said that's the real, the real champion wrestler, I guess you could say, because he controls his emotions and keeps his emotions in check. And this person, all he does is defeat a person, but he defeats what? Himself. So, and that's the strongest opponent that you can ever fight, man. Because if you can't control your emotions, I mean, you're useless, Akhi, as a man. As a man, as a leader, as anything, you're useless, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, like no benefit is going to come from a person that can't control his emotions, you know. Because you're going to have to deal with insults. You're leading people, or you're in a position of authority. People are going to speak bad about you. People are going to insult you. People might even spit in your face. But you gotta use hikmah, and when is the, because everything has a proper time and a proper place. And you can't, get angry with everybody thinking, oh man, he dissed me. He want to fight everybody in the world. It doesn't work like that. Choose your battles. That's what our grandparents used to say all the time, right? Choose your battles, son. Choose your battles, right?
And choose wise.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you choose the challenging ones. Don't choose all the easy ones.
Yeah.
Like you want to get angry and fight the 140-pound kid, but you don't want to fight that 200, and that 250-pound guy is standing in line like, hey, when's my turn? Like, no, let me deal with these 140-pound dudes first.
And then where we come from, like we say, you don't get no stripes for that.
Yeah, let me do the title first.
Yeah, you don't get no stripes for that, man.
What, for fighting 140-pounders?
Yeah, you get nothing in nothing. Nobody's. You get looked down on anything.
So that's the truth, man. Now, can I finish this?
Yeah. Wait, 1 second. I wanted to add what Sheikh al-Albani said. I read the last part of what he said. He said, بفتح الراء وتخفيف القاف التي لا يبقى لها ولدها أي التي مات ولدها.
Yeah.
That was the entire.
But I mean, the Sahaba gave a different definition. I'm just saying, that was the definition that was taken out of the dictionary. La ya'isha laha walad. Yeah.
And the first hadith we took, Sheikh
But
al-Albani.
I'll take the statement of the Sahaba.
Of course, yeah.
But not every part of that hadith is authentic. Most of that hadith is authentic. Because there's shawahid from Bukhari and Muslim from that hadith. But yeah.
In the first hadith, Sheikh al-Albani, he said, ضعيف الإسناد فيه يزيد بن أبي مريم وأمه مجهولان. Both of them.
No, the chain of narration for that hadith is like. But there's shawahid for aspects of that hadith. Like the thing about the, الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب, that's authentic. That's authentic from Abu Hurairah. So, yeah, inshallah. I think it's Abu Hurairah. Check it.
ضرور.
Huh?
ضرور or the book?
No, I might be thinking about the.
ليس الشرع.
No, I'm thinking about another hadith. I was thinking about the hadith about the أوصني فقال لا تغضب فردد مرارا.
Oh, it has to be even Abu Hurairah.
That's on. I was saying that hadith is from Abu Hurairah. But look up the hadith. إنما السرعة الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. Look up just that part of the hadith. All right, so Hamid, where's Hamid at? He said it. I didn't even get a chance to write it, to say something. He said, I've been waiting for Miftah Dar Sa'ada. So he's been waiting for this. So today you get your waiting hope. All right, so Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So I'm just gonna get to the part that I wanted to get to, which is the meaning of when he said wal qalbu salim. Because we always talk about that part of the ayah, illa man ata Allah bi qalbin salim. So we know that the only people that are gonna go into Jannah are the people that go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with what? With a heart that's well, how would you translate the qalb salim? Like it's secure from shirk, from sins, from
هو يسألك عن أي صفحة؟
what?
هو يسألك أي صفحة؟
129. If you got this version, second volume is it? First volume, page 129.
What are you saying? Muqalb Salim?
Qalb salim.
Is saying a sound heart,
Yeah,
a translation.
A sound heart. That's sound heart, because salim, it means like secure, safe. But it's a sound, and that it's not mixed with love of the disobedience of Allah. It's not mixed with shirk. So it's salim from all of these afat, all of these bad things that cause corruption to it. I thought you were
Like a
looking
pure
at
heart, like I say, like a pure heart.
Yeah, yes. So he said, and this is what so we're only reading this one page right here. This is the whole point of reading all of this was to get up to this one part.
Yeah.
And since I figured that we're never going to get to this, I said, let me just read this one part.
I have to go. Get my brother.
I got it open anyway. So he said, وَالْقَلْبُ السَّلِيمُ الَّذِي يَنْجُو مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ. So he said the heart, the sound heart, or the heart that's at peace and secure, is the heart that is what? الَّذِي يَنْجُو مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ. The one that is spared and is safe from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هو القلب الذي قد سلم من هذا وهذا. من هذا وهذا, it means what? Shirk. Huh? Well, shirk and the love of ma'asiyah, like disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the whole point is that it goes back to this. So he said, فَهُوَ الْقَلْبُ الَّذِي سَلَّمَ لِرَبِّهِ. So it's the heart that is completely surrendered to its Lord. Surrendered to its Lord, which means what? Again.
And obedience.
Yeah. Whatever Allah commands it, it does. Whatever Allah prohibits, stays away from. He said, وَسَلَّمَ لِأَمْرِهِ. And it submitted itself to His commands. وَلَمْ تَبْقَى فِيهِ مُنَازَعَةٌ لِأَمْرِهِ. And there remains nothing inside of this heart, any type of munaza'ah لِأَمْرِهِ. That means what?
It doesn't feel conflicted. It's
Yeah, like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says do this, and He's like, but I can't, No, He doesn't, Exactly. So there's no disagreement. Well, He said, مُنَازَعَةٌ لِأَمْرِهِ وَلَا مُعَارَضَةٌ لِخَبْرِهِ. So all of that, like He doesn't conflict with it. There's no confliction. Like when whatever Allah commands it to do, it surrenders. And with no argument, it doesn't try to.
Thoughts.
Yeah, it just does exactly what Allah commanded it to do.
Is that like higher than ihsan or the same or?
No, this is the heart of every person that has to enter into Jannah. If you don't come if you don't come with this type of heart on the day of judgment, then you have to go to the fire to purify yourself, because obviously there's something wrong with that heart. This is the heart of those people that go into Jannah directly. Yeah, and the other people, they're gonna be deserving of the fire. Maybe Allah spares them because of the shafa'ah, some of the intercession, maybe He has to go to the fire for an appointed time and come out. But whatever the case may be, these are the people that they get the direct route to Jannah. All right, that's what we want to focus on. We don't care about the other people, let's focus on this right now. So he said, فَهُوَ سَلِيمٌ مِمَّا سِوَى اللَّهِ مِمَّا سِوَى اللَّهِ وَأَمْرِهِ. So it's salim, it's secure and safe and at peace from anything other than Allah. So it has no connections with anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa amrihi, and His command. So His command, it overrides every command of everybody. No other command takes precedence over His command.
It almost sound like the angels.
Angels don't have a choice.
Wait. La yuridu illa Allah. It doesn't want anything except Allah. So everything that it lives for is Allah. Everything it acts for is Allah. Everything is for Allah. Not for the people, not for anything else. وَلَا يَفْعَلُوا إِلَّا مَا أَمَرَهُ اللَّهُ. And it doesn't do anything except for that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded it. فَاللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ غَايَتَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is the ghaya, like is the final destination. This is what it's trying to get to. It's like all this other stuff is just, part of the path, but this is the destination. All right. وَأَمْرُهُ وَشَرَعُهُ وَسِيلَتُهُ وَطَرِيقَتُهُ. And He said in His command and His legislation is His wasila and His tariqah. These are the things that He uses to do what? To get to Allah. So He uses the obedience of Allah. He uses and follows the legislation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down as a means to get to that ghaya, to get to that final destination, to get to,
that end goal.
Yeah, the end goal.
Not to get off track or anything, but is that, so He was preordained for that?
Yeah.
Basically?
Allah
When
created
they take inventory 4 months in the womb? So He was they preordained for that.
All of us are.
Yeah, but we don't know if we are or not. So
You
you
don't
still
know.
gotta act.
No, I know, but they were preordained for that. You already, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's gonna happen to you is already preordained.
Yeah, I
You
know.
just don't know
My
it yet.
destiny is preordained as well, but
So everybody.
yeah, so evidently, they was preordained for that.
Oh, it's just like what the Sahaba asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so they say, هَنَتَّكِوَ عَلَى كِتَابِنَا وَنَضَعَ الْعَمَلِ. So we just rely on what's written for us and stop acting. He said, لَا اعْمَلُوا فَكُولُوا مُيَسَّرٌ. For you know what's been written for you by what you find ease in doing. You understand? So if you don't find ease in the worship of Allah, akhi, that should scare you. That should like keep you up at night, because the person that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for, he's written at ease, that he'll find ease in the worship of Allah and he'll find ease in doing this stuff. But then if you find that you're trying to do it but you don't find that ease, it's time to start making some severe tawbah. You know what I'm saying? It's time to like say, okay, you know what, for this next couple months I'm not going to go to sleep at night. It's that time, because that's a serious issue. Yeah, as he said, kulun muyassar. So that's what he's saying. That each one is going to find what's made easy for him. So the person that finds ease in the disobedience of Allah and finds difficulty in the obedience of Allah, that person should be fearful. That doesn't mean that this person is destined for the hellfire, because the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that we started this class off with, when we're talking about what was the rest of the hadith, he said, إِنَّ أَحَدَكُمْ لَيَعْمَلُ عَمَلَ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ حَتَّى مَا يَكُونَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهَا إِلَّا ذِرَاعٌ فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ فَيَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ النَّارِ فَيَدْخُلُهَا. So he said that there will be amongst you a person who will be doing the actions of the people of Jannah until nothing separates him from Jannah except for a dhira', which is like an arm span. He's that close to entering into Jannah. فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ. But then what Allah has written for him comes down, because it came in a different narration where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فِيمَا يَبْدُ لِلنَّاسِ يَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ فِيمَا يَبْدُ لِلنَّاسِ. When what appears to the people. So on the surface, he's doing these actions of the people of Jannah, what appears to the people. But inside he's corrupt. He's really corrupt. And then it comes out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knows, because Allah created him. So it comes out. فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ. So then what Allah has written comes to pass. فَيَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ النَّارِ. And then he starts to do the actions of the people of the hellfire. فَيَدْخُلُهَا. Then he enters into the hellfire. He said, وَإِنَّ أَحَدَكُمْ لَيَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ النَّارِ حَتَّى مَا يَكُونَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهَا إِلَّا ذِرَاعٌ. He said, and a person from amongst you will be doing the actions of the people of the hellfire until nothing separates him from the hellfire except for arm's length. فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ. But he is doing the actions of the people of the hellfire فِيمَا يَبْدُ لِلنَّاسِ. Inside is something different. So maybe he's out in the streets and you see him acting like a fool, but because maybe he's scared of what the people might think about him, he might go home and be making dua and crying his eyes out every night, making tawbah. You don't know. You don't know what he's doing in the privacy while he's not around the people. But Allah knows. فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ. So then that what Allah has written for him comes to pass. فَيَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. And then he starts to do the actions of the people of the Jannah. فَيَدْخُلُهَا. And then he enters Jannah. So just because you're finding that difficulty now does not mean, but if you're finding difficulty and you find the pain, of finding difficulty, like, you're trying to do righteous actions, but they're difficult, but you feel that pain and you're like, why, Ya Rabbi, why, please help me, and you go back to Allah for assistance, and maybe that's you, maybe that's you, that person who's doing the actions of the hellfire, the people of the hellfire, but, inside he's really trying to get right. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens it up for him later on before his death, and he enters into Jannah. But the whole point is like, kulun muyassar, so you gotta act regardless. Whatever Allah has written for you, you don't know. You don't know. So you can't just sit back and just say, oh, what Allah has written. No, you gotta act, and you gotta look at we all gotta look at ourselves. It's just like we talked about the last time, we talked about the sirat. Right? And what did we say when we talked about the sirat? What was the ayah? Do you remember the ayah? Anybody on there? Well, the hadith that we're talking about.
Talking about crossing the sirat?
Yeah, everybody is.
Oh, the light, your words. I didn't read it.
No, we're talking about the sirat itself. أدق من الشعر وحد من السيف. Like it's finer than a piece of hair,
Ooh.
and it's sharper than like a sword. So it's not like a big bridge that you're gonna cross, and no, it's like finer than a hair, and it's over. It's alamatun Jahannam. It's over like the middle, like right going through the middle of Jahannam. You understand? And then you're gonna be crossing this, just like we, in this life, we can watch it. You try to be on, the correct obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're watching people what? Fall off.
Obstacles.
And they're
You
falling
get
off.
obstacles.
So but you're going to be watching people fall off, but they're not going to be falling off. Those hooks are going to be snatching people off. Just like they got snatched away in this life with their desires and following their desires, they're going to get snatched off that sirat and thrown into the hellfire. You're going to be seeing this in front of you. And you don't know what's about to happen to you. You don't know if you're going to make it across or not. Nobody told you, what's going to happen. So imagine the fear on that day when the Prophet ﷺ is on the other side of the sirat saying, Allah, ya Allahumma sallam, sallam. Bring them safely across. Bring them, Allahumma sallam, sallam. The Prophet's making dua for the people, because of the fear and what's going on, and these people just getting snatched. Imagine you're on this little thing, this little qantara, this little string bridge across the matan of Jahannam, the body of Jahannam. And you got to cross that. And it ain't like from here to the Jahannam, you know how many years of travel, it's not like, this is going to be a walk, bigger than this dunya, So just imagine that. And we watch people fall off. So, we gotta check ourselves, seriously. Because if you find like that ease in the disobedience, and it's not so much that you find ease, like, okay, you disobey Allah, but how do you feel afterwards? Do you feel sad? Do you feel like real strong regret? Or do you go into justification mode? If you go into justification mode, because you're gonna have that's not the way to go. Sadness, regret, pain, stress or whatever. You should be stressed. When you disobey Allah, you should have that feeling of stress. And that feeling of grief and sadness and Alright, inshallah, let's finish this up. Alright, so he said after that, he said, لا تعترضه شبهة تحول بينه وبين تصديق خبره. So he's saying about this heart of Salim, he said that there's no shubha that that stands in the way and conflicts and that brings confliction to the heart against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded him to do. And what do we say shubha is? Shubuhat, what are they? Explain in the hadith of the Nu'man ibn Bashir what?
Evils is on? It stands in the way?
Come on, Hamza.
I'm trying to translate it, I can't get to it. It's like al-halal bayn al-haram bayn al-ma'mur mutashabihat.
These unclear
Unclear
matters.
matters, yeah.
Alright, so he keeps following these shubuhat, he keeps following these unclear matters. And taqwa, if something is unclear, what?
Right, to avoid it.
Yeah, so we have the hadith of Nu'man ibn Bashir where the Prophet ﷺ said, in the halal bayin, haram bayin, وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ لَا يَعْلَمُهُنَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. The only people that know these affairs are the ulama. So number one, when you're faced with an unclear matter, you go back to the ulama if you don't have the knowledge. If you don't have ulama, then you got the other hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, what? دَعْ مَا يُرِيبُكِ إِلَّا مَا لَا يُرِيبُكِ. Leave that which you doubt for that which you yeah, so a lot of people, they fall into these unclear matters, and they say what? Well, we're not sure, but we're going to do it anyway.
No, you stay away from it.
Well, that's what these people do. They do the opposite. They do it.
They want to stay ignorant.
Yeah. And what is
bliss mentality type of situation.
Yeah.
Because what is, the prohibitions and the what we're allowed to do is so clear that you never have to stray into the what's not clear area.
Well, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man waqa'a fi shubuhati, waqa'a fil haram." Whoever goes into these unclear matters will go into haram, la bud, because you don't know. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. So the easiest thing to do is what? Either one, go to an alim and get clarity on the issue, or two, stay away from it. Stay away from it. So this person that has this qalb salim, this heart that's at peace, he doesn't have this. He doesn't have these shubahat in his heart. He knows that this is halal, this is haram. You know, and if there's something that's unclear, he goes to the ulama and stays away from it. So this doesn't come and cause conflict in his heart. He said, لكن لا تمر عليه إلا وهي مجتازة تعلم أنه لا قرار لها فيه. All right, hold on. I think I skipped some. He said, لا تعترضه شبهة تحول بينه وبين تصديق الخبر لكن لا تمر عليه إلا وهي مجتازة تعلم أنه لا قرار لها فيه. All right, مجتازة means what? You know, مجتازة it means like, you know, like to go beyond past the boundaries. Not like,
Exceed the limit.
no, but not transgressing. Mujtazatun, like for example, like you're trying to get over a mountain and to go past a mountain, like you know, like to go back past that border, but not in a transgression way.
But can't you exceed the limits without directly like trying to transgress?
Oh, he's not talking about exceeding limits. He's talking about like this is the boundaries of this country,
Passing up certain
and he's passing it. Yeah, he's passing that point to go beyond the boundaries to go to that other country. It's not meaning transgression. So he's saying, let me see, لكن لا تمر عليه, like the shubahat, they don't pass by him إلا وهي مجتازة. Like it just passes them by. It finds no qarar. It finds no place of.
It doesn't settle with
Yeah, it doesn't have any residence in his heart. Like it will go through and get out, and that's it. Yeah.
I'm laughing. That's just an old way of saying over your head or in one ear and out the other.
I mean, because the shubahat, they're gonna come to you. I mean, you can't avoid that. If you sit with all these like al-firaq al-dhala, all these misguided groups, and you sit with them, you're gonna get these types of shubahat. But he knows, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed him with that, you know, one, knowledge. If you have knowledge, and you're able to fight off the shubahat. So the shubahat, when they come, they know that there's no place in their heart for him. So they just like what?
They slide off.
There they go. They pass it. They just keep it moving because there's no. Like he said, la qarar laha fihi. La qarar, it means there's no place of residence, no place for it to stay. You know, there's no, like the environment is not for it. So it has to keep it moving. He said, وَلَا شَهْوَةَ تَحُولُ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ مُتَابَعَةِ رِضَاهُ. So he said, and no desires that will block him, that will stand as like يَحُولُ بَيْنَهُ, that will come between him and following that which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he always stays in the actions of, he doesn't allow his desires to come between him and the things that he has to do to please Allah. And if the desires come in, the desires go on the back burner. The opposite of us nowadays. Now we're saying, listen, man, we gotta enjoy our lives, man. Look, I prayed in the masjid, now let me go enjoy myself. But he's gonna enjoy himself for how many hours? And he's going to give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his deen the bare minimum. But he's going to give his desires full energy, full everything. That's what his energy's for. So he's only lying to himself. These are not from the Sadiqeen. Because we said the Sadiqeen are the people what? Their actions, their statements, their words, their actions, their beliefs, all come together as one. Not that it's like he's saying something with his tongue, but his heart. Oh, I love Allah, and I love His Messenger. All right, why do you disobey them? Why do you disobey them constantly if you love Allah and His Messenger? So are you telling the truth? No, because your love for Allah and His Messenger, it comes out through your obedience. There's no way that you're going to love Allah and His Messenger. You truly love Allah and His Messenger, what? And you disobey them. It's impossible. It's impossible. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, what was the hadith of, let me see. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. So what the Prophet ﷺ said, that none of you would truly believe until I become more beloved to you than your father and your son and all the people. And that means that what? Your father, your son, these are the people. Your father, you're going to be the most obedient to and the most respectful to. Your son is going to be the most beloved to you. You're going to have the most love for and the most protection for. but you put the deen before those two most beloved people to you. And then he said, وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ, and all the people. So there's going to be no way that you're going to have that type of love for Allah and His Messenger and go out and purposely disobey them. To set out like you planned the disobedience to them, you know. Okay, we fall into things. Like we might be in a situation where our desires overpower us and we mess up, and then we feel this like instantaneous regret. And we're like, we go home and we're like, you know, making dua, please Ya Rabbi, forgive me. This is something that happens. But now imagine that you're planning like this Friday, I'm going to go out and I'm going to plan the disobedience to Allah and His Messenger. I'm going to plan this. And you say that I love Allah and His Messenger. Allah that. That's a lie, you know. And this is not the tahqiq. This is not the realization and the actualization of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Because there's no way, and even Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentioned that. He said there's no way that you can truly say La ilaha illallah and disobey Allah on purpose, you know. To like purposely disobey Allah. Like you actually, you know, you're cognizant, you're there, and you're like, I'm going to go out and disobey Allah. But then you say La ilaha illallah. He said no. So there's no way. There's no way that you can do this. We fall into sins, but we fall into sins because of what? غلبة الشهوة. Like you might be out in the supermarket and you're out and about, and one of these girls, whatever, it just captures your eye, and you just can't help it. You just look and you're like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful girl. And you're like, oh man, then you catch yourself, right? It happens. And we're human. We're men. On top of that, we love women. You know, it's not like, you know, we're not a bunch of fruitcakes, right? So, but you know, you have to go back and you make total. But you don't set out to say like, okay, I'm going to go to this place because I know there's going to be a bunch of girls I can look at. No, now that's not. How can you sit there and say that you love Allah and His message? Okay, you fall into sin. We fall into sin. Make tawbah and keep it moving. You know, realize what you did wrong and stop it, and cut it out. You know, and if you're in a situation where you can't, you know, fix the situation here. Like when we go shopping, what 6:30 in the morning to avoid this, because why? I know my weakness. Yeah, I know I don't want to be in a shopping center when all this foolishness is going on. You protect yourself, you know, and you try to get as far away from sin as much as possible. Yeah. That's real love for Allah and His message.
This thing got bad too, because there was a time where, but now when you see that stuff, it just turns my stomach sometimes. Like, why don't you go put some clothes on? Hate to see it.
Yeah.
وإن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحبكم الله.
Yeah.
آية الاختلاف.
Yeah. And that's it. You know, if you love Allah, then what? Follow the message. Follow Him. Yeah. So, I mean, that goes with the mutaba'ah. That goes with the action. Can't contradict Him and go against His commands and talk about I love Him. No. Could you imagine that? I mean, you wouldn't even do that. Could you imagine that as a parent? Your son just disrespects you and calls you all types of names and disobeys you all the time. He says, but Dad, I love you.
Well,
You're like, shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Is it because like we don't really believe we're striving to get, because if you really had that belief, you know, like Abdul Kareem say, if you could get dipped in hellfire for a nanosecond, you would have belief in hell.
Yeah, but you can't. So how can you have that understanding?
Well, we try to get that belief, but like you say, if we're still
where are you going to get it from without knowledge? And where are you going to get it from when day in and day out? You know, you got to be reading the Quran. You got to.
That's the only place you. That's the only place.
That's what I'm saying. You read the Sunnah. You read. You know, this is where you're going to get it from.
Yeah, so it's the only way you're going to get it.
So then after that, he said, well, he finished that part. That was just one paragraph. All right, that took about an hour. He said, وَمَتَى كَانَ الْقَلْبُ كَذَلِكَ فَهُوَ سَلِيمٌ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ. He said, and when the heart is in this state right here, then it is truly what? Salim. It's like protected and safe from shirk. All right, so this is the heart full of tawheed. He said, وَسَلِيمٌ مِنَ الْبِدَعِ. And also from innovation. وَسَلِيمٌ مِنَ الْغَيْ. And al-ghay is what? Like deviation. Like you're on a, deviation from the straight path. Alright. Salimu min al-ghayb wa salimu min al-batil. And protected and safe from falsehood. وكل الأقوال التي قيلت في تفسيره فذلك يتضمنها. And everything that comes along with it. So all you got all the sins and all the, the bid'ah and the shirk and everything that comes with this. It's protected from all of these things. That's the heart that's truly, like Tawheed is really, really taking effect on it. So that's why the ulama, they always say, like, if you want to know the level of your understanding of Tawheed, then look at the level of your obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because your understanding and your implementation of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is going to be in your obedience to them, to Allah and His Messenger. So you can, that's your mizan, that's your scale that you measure with. So if you look and you say, well, subhanAllah, here I am, this is my life, I'm doing this, and all of these things are contrary to the Quran and the Sunnah, then what does that mean about your understanding of Tawheed? Yeah, you're hanging by a thread. You're hanging by a thread. Because if you truly understood Tawheed, there would be nothing more beloved to you than to sit down and study the Sunnah, study the Quran, learn tafsir, learn the Sunnah, and learn the things that you have to do as a Muslim. Nothing will be more beloved to you, and nothing could hold your attention for any amount of time. But the thing is like now we live in a society where what? Everything holds the people's attention. I'm talking about the Muslims. I forget these kuffar. But the Muslims, like everything holds their attention except for the Quran and the Sunnah. You start talking like, hey, go amongst your friends, the Muslims, and open up a book of Hadith and start reading. And see how many remain. Like, see how many start looking at their watch. Oh man, my mom's calling, I gotta go. See how many people will sit down and, actually find comfort in that. But that's the thing. If the people of Tawheed, and that's what I'm saying, Tawheed is more than just, just simply saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. No, it's more than that. Because you gotta live it, akhi. And you gotta live it every single day. And living it is that you find comfort. This is where you find comfort in studying your deen and practicing your deen. When you go out into the world and you have to deal with these kuffar and you got to deal with the dunya, that's where you start to feel nervous and discomfort. But you find the opposite now. When the people come to the masjid,
Ice cream for everyone.
trying to buy y'all's loyalty.
Not for me. I had some. I've been drinking milk. I know, but I'm going to have issues. Yeah, black people like to intolerant. Can't all that milk. I had my issue of milk for the day. But you know what it is? I love cereal though. So, gotta pick your battle.
I only look, man, I can have I can't even do dairy products at all anymore. But I mean, I could, at least once a week. And I would use it for that ice cream, but now even the ice cream is messing me up.
I've been making root beer floats, and
That's
my
it.
wife, I ain't got no teeth, and wife cooks some cookies.
Can you show him the wudu? It's not little brother.
In the milk.
I don't want
Yeah,
to
that's
know.
that shit, milk.
Does it seem right?
So that's what he's saying here. When he said, well, haqiqatuhu. I'm sorry, you guys aren't getting no questions answered today. And he said, well, haqiqatuhu. All right, and the reality of it, the realness of it is what? أنه القلب الذي قد سلم لعبوديته سلم لعبودية ربه حبا وخوفا وطمعا ورجاء. So he said the reality of it is now the realness of his heart. The heart is full of tawheed, the salim. He said it is the heart that has surrendered itself to the servitude of its Lord. Now focus on that. It's a heart that has surrendered itself to the servitude of its Lord. Like the whole heart, its whole purpose is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's it. So even what we do for the people, as far as teaching the people, giving the people rights, doing da'wah, this is all in the service to Allah, not service to the people. And this is where you see, you got to be careful reading these books by these kuffar, because they say, you have to have that servant mentality, serve the people. Now, we're not here to serve the people. We're here to serve Allah, but we will give the people their rights and give them dawah and teach them, and our dealings with the people are going to be righteous dealings.
And we don't want nothing back from them.
No, we don't. ما نريد منكم إيه.
إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء.
لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We don't want any reward and we don't want any thanks. We're just doing this for Allah. That's it. And that's
Nothing from you.
yeah. So that's the heart that's truly at peace. Everything is about servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he wrote a risala, it's called Al-Ubudiyyah. Either yassar Allah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for us, inshallah. I left it in Jacksonville, so if I get it back, or I'll just order it again, we have to go over this risala. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. We'll probably read through this, but like after we finish other things. But this is important, so the people can understand what this means. Because when we talk about al-ubudiyyah, people don't truly understand. People don't really understand what that entails and what it's about. And that's a complete service. Like your whole life is in complete servitude to Allah. You're a slave of Allah, and you don't do anything except for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't go out of His commands, and you don't go towards His prohibition. You don't do whatever He prohibited you, but you do everything that you're capable of doing from amongst the commands. That's servitude, and your heart is all for that. That's what it's all about. This love for the dunya, this anchoring to the dunya, this word concern with the people, doesn't exist in this heart. It doesn't exist. He said, and that's what we strive. He said, وَأَنَّهُ الْقَلْبُ الَّذِي قَدْ سَلَّمَ لِعُبُودِيَّةِ رَبِّهِ حُبًّا. So it surrendered itself to the servitude of his Lord. حُبًّا, with love for Allah. وَخَوْفًا, and fear from Him. So you love Him because that's what pushes you towards His obedience. خَوْفًا, that you have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because maybe your actions aren't accepted and you get punished. And he said, وَطَمَعًا. طَمَعًا means what?
You're wanting it.
Yeah, like you got this strong desire with what Allah, the Jannah and the forgiveness of Allah and the reward with Allah. You're seeking this out. Just like a greedy person will seek out his money, but you're seeking this out with what? You're seeking out the reward from Allah, like this greedy person who goes after the money in the dunya, but you're seeking out the reward with Allah. And you want that. That's what you're going after. That's all you're concerned with. And he said, وَرَجَاءً, and hope. You hope that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your actions, but you also live, because the mu'min is like, like they say, like the two wings of a bird. That balance of hope, like, hope, waraja, like fear and hope. You can't live with complete hope, because then you fall into like the murajiyah. Well, the murajiyah, because the murajiyah, they just think, okay, if you just say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, khalas, now you're on the same level as Jibril. Even if you do no action. And you can't live with hope all the time, because then you fall into what? Khawarij. Yeah.
Despair.
Yeah, you fall into the likes of the Khawarij and all that, because they're like, because they end up taking people out of Islam because of what? Major sins. If you do a major sin, because they're like, Allah's not going to forgive you. Because he lives now his whole life with fear. So there has to be that balance. You got to be between those two things. So you have to have this balance of fear and reject. But they say at the time of a person's death, what? What should overpower the other?
Fear.
No. If fear overpowers you at the time of your death, Shaitan's gonna get you at the time, because Shaitan's gonna do everything that he can do to get you to disbelieve at the time of your death. He knows he can see them angels. You can't see them. Well, you will be able to see them once the soul starts leaving your body. You will see them.
I mean, like a fear, like I didn't do enough.
No, because that's what I'm saying. That's when Shaitan's going to come to you. Yeah, see, you're right. You didn't do enough. That's why Allah's not going to forgive you. See, Allah's not, and then you start to, yeah, you're right. Allah's not going to forgive you. Now you're going to die with yes. You're going to die with hopelessness, which is no. So when a person's on his deathbed, then the thing that should be the strongest at that time, as a Muslim, obviously if a person is not a Muslim, then, well, it doesn't matter what he has, fear or rajah, but the hope that you should be hoping at this time, that, just hoping for the mercy of Allah. Because that way Shaitan, he's not going to come to you and try to No, inshallah, Allah will forgive my
Even,
sins.
even if you, whatever you feel you've done, you should hope.
Oh, because if
Have
you're
hope
dying
for
on,
that rock.
if you're dying on Tawheed, there's still that hope is always going to be there. If you don't die on Tawheed, there's no hope for you. It's over for you. It's done. But you could be the most sinful Muslim, but if you die on at least that fundamental enough, just that basics of Tawheed to enter you into Islam, that is enough, inshallah, to get you into Jannah. Yeah. So you don't, this is what you're hoping for. You're hoping with that little bit that you do have.
Hope is enough.
I'm clinging to that right now, But while you're living your life, now if you're in sin, and like in the time that you're in times of sin, you should, and that balance, it has different times. So when you're doing sins, you shouldn't be heavy on the rajat side. You should be on the hope side. You should be heavy on what?
Fear.
On the hope, on the fear side. So it's always, but there's a balance, but at certain times one will be heavier than the other based on the situation of your life. But you always have them. There's always this hope and fear. So as long as I'm continuing in the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I have that hope. And that hope will be there. But if I start falling into disobedience, now that fear comes in and starts to overpower, because that's going to push you to make tawbah. But when death comes to you, when it's time for death, no, you go to the hope. And, you allow the hope to take control. Yeah. So he said, خوفا وطمعا ورجاء ففني بحبه عن حب ما سواه. So he basically what? All the love for anything other than Allah, is it. He only loves for what?
Allah.
For Allah. That's it. All of his relations with people are for the sake of Allah. So if he makes relations with people, he makes relations with people based on what? Benefit in the deen, encouragement, obedience. So he loves a person for the sake of Allah. He doesn't have friends just because, like what? Oh man, Ahmed, he makes me laugh. Ahmed, he's funny. That's not loving for the sake of Allah. You're loving for the sake of entertainment. So that love now is going to weaken your love for what? For Allah and His obedience. Because now you're loving something for other than Him. Now it's, what I'm saying? So your wife, your kids, everything has to be that love for what? For Allah.
There's more ice cream if anyone wants more. It's over there.
Hurry up, because that's the most fast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I said, did they get ice cream?
Yeah, they got it. I said, you want more ice cream? Here, take some more.
Don't even ask him. Just say, go get
Just
some
say
more
his
ice
face
cream.
is full of ice cream.
Hey, you
There's
got
more.
to get some paper towels, wipe your face.
No, leave them, because they're funny to look at. When the kids got all the... I don't even say anything. I just go look at them. Oh, okay, then go back and laugh. Let me see, man.
They like it. I took a joy. You told you get some Obama, Obama, you want another ice cream?
There you go. That's the last one anyways.
Take the box with you. Hello, thank you. Throw the box away.
Alright, so he said, alright, so an hubbi ma siwahu, wa bi khawfihi min khawfi ma siwahu. So he doesn't have fear for anything. Now this doesn't mean that the person doesn't have natural fear. Okay? If you see a lion, it's not like shirk to say, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? That's a lion. That's like natural fear. But what is he talking about? The fear of what?
Fearing something as much as you fear Allah or more than that.
Yeah, like, like this thing has like a subtle, like it could like, oh, this person in the grave, if I say something bad about him, he'll put a curse on me and my family.
Yeah.
And then, Akhi, come on, man, that's but people, Akhi, this is real. It's really happening. This is why, the Kitab al-Tawheed was written, and this happened in the time of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. And he refuted these types of things. That's why, what do you think he was put in jail so much for? For calling the people to Tawheed. It wasn't because, the people just didn't like him. No, they didn't like him because of what he was calling the people. He was calling them away from their shirk. But, so that fear of ibadah is only for Allah. It's not for anybody else. Alright, and he said what? He said, well, بِرَجَائِهِ عَنْ رَجَاءِ مَا سِوَاهُ. When you don't have any hope. Because nobody can bring you anything, any khair or any dar or any harm to you. And this is like we talked about again, the hadith of Ibn Abbas. Go, who's going to recite that last part? I'll wait for you. I don't know if they will. Hey.
I know. Why isn't he here?
Huh?
Why isn't he here?
Because he's busy with his family.
Oh yeah, he said his sister
He
came.
came down for it,
واعلم لو اجتمعت لكن ما على أن ينفعوك بشيء لم ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتب الله لك ولو اجتمعت على أن يضروك بشيء
ولن اجتمعوا
أو اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء لا يضروك إلا بشيء قد كتب الله عليك رفعت الأقلام وجفت
You correct it now?
ولئن أو أن
Huh?
ولئن أو أن وإن
Say it.
نجتمع
ولن اجتمعوا
أنا ولئن
ولئن اجتمعوا
أنا صلاة ثانية
ولئن اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء لم يضروك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله عليك. So if all the people came together to bring you about any benefit, they can only bring you benefit with something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already written for you. So your rajat, your hope should be with Allah. It shouldn't be with the people. It's only if Allah wrote it, are you going to get it? Even if all the people come together, they can only bring whatever benefit that it is that you require with Allah's permission. So that's where your hope should be. وَلَنْ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَى يَضُرُّوكَ بِشَيْءٍ. And if they all come together to bring you harm, it's going to bring you hope, right? They can only bring you harm if what? If Allah wrote it before you. So your fear should be with Allah, not with the people. Because if Allah wrote it before you, it's going to be for you. The people have no control. They have no control. You know, they do whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for them to do. So if Allah has written that to be for you, it's going to be for you. So your hope and your fear should all be with Allah. It shouldn't ever lie with the people. Alright. And he said after that, he said, وَبِرَجَائِهِ عَنْ رَجَاءِ مَا سِوَاهُ وَسَلَّمَ لِأَمْرِهِ وَلِرَسُولِهِ تَصْدِيقًا وَطَاعَةً كَمَا تَقَدَّمَ. And he completely submits himself to the commands of Allah and His Messenger. Tasdiqan, that means what? Yeah, that they spoke that this is the truth. You're not just submitting. You're like, sometimes when you're working at a job, you'll submit even though you know that the manager's telling you to do something that's completely stupid. But you're going to do it because why?
Gotta get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Because the manager's telling you to do it, and if you want that paycheck, you have to do it, even though you know it could be wrong. But you're just going to do it because whatever, right? And go along to get along, or get along to go along, whatever that stupid saying is, right? But no, you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you know that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down is the truth. And His messenger came with the truth. This is not about fear. This is not like somebody's got a gun to your head. No, your obedience is obedience with what?
Because you know Allah deserves to be obeyed.
Yeah. He's the only one that deserves to be obeyed. And His messenger, obviously, what?
Allah
Is
said
what
obey
you'll
him
be
too.
doing.
Allah said obey him.
Yeah. Alright, so he said, وَتَصْدِيقًا وَطَاعَةً and obedience. كَمَا تَقَدَّمَ, as was mentioned earlier. He said, وَاسْتَسْلَمَ لِقَضَائِهِ وَقَدَرِهِ فَلَمْ يَتَّهِمْهُ. He said, and he surrenders himself to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. So everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written and decreed, he knows this is what Allah has written. That's it, khalas. Yastaslim. And he surrenders himself to it. فَلَمْ يَتَّهِمْهُ. What does this mean? Yeah, like, Allah's just doing this because Allah wants me to be destroyed, or you have su'adhan with Allah. This is su'adhan. It means to accuse. Or to have false
questioning.
But it's accusations that come from what? Suspicion. A tuhma is an accusation based on suspicion. So you shouldn't have any suspicion. You should have nothing but husn adhan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does everything with hikmah. Everything. There's nothing that happens in this cone, even the mosquito, the ant, and all these insects that we don't understand what their benefit is. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them with hikmah. He didn't just create anything. There's nothing on this earth that's created
For no reason.
just to take up space. No, it all has a purpose. We don't understand that purpose, but Allah, He created it with purpose, and we know that. So we know that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed, He decreed it with purpose. And if you're a believer, and you truly believe in Islam, then you understand that even the bad things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you deem as bad, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wrote something for you that you might perceive as being bad for you. But we know that everything for the believer is what?
Good.
Is good. What's the dalil?
Oh,
Yeah, you know.
I know that.
Everything good comes from Allah, everything bad comes from what his own hand.
Now, if he doesn't, I'm gonna.
No.
He better, because he's memorized this hadith and daily hadith. Abu Yahya. Sahih. What?
أنا أبو يحيى سيف سنان رضي الله عنه عنه
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
عجبا.
عجبنا من المؤمن أنه كله
No, you're fired, man.
Now I know it.
Now my son is going to show you up.
عجبنا من المؤمن أنه كله خير لكم مثل ذلك العدل للمؤمن صاب سر وشكر فكان خير له من صبر ضر وصبر كان خير له رواه مسلم.
You want to translate? I'll let you translate.
Yeah. So you say word by word and I'll translate.
عجبنا لأمر المؤمن أن أمره كله له خير.
Like عجبا لأمر المؤمن.
You know the hadith, just translate it.
No, it's more professional.
He doesn't know it.
No, I do. Like the عجبا لأمر المؤمن, like amazing is the affair of the believers. أن أمره كله له خير. أن أمره كله له خير.
No, that's not translating. You're giving it back in Arabic.
No,
You know you're speaking Arabic right now.
I know, because I need to go in Arabic because I have memorized in Arabic.
You
So
wanna
I go and I
translate it?
translate it step by step.
Amazing is the affair of the believers. All of his affairs are all good. It's all khair. It's all good for him, right? وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. And this is not for anybody except for who? For the believer. And أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاءُ شَكَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself.
Like if something good falls upon him, he is thankful.
And how is he thankful?
He uses the ni'mah that Allah gave him to do hasanat.
To do obedience, to be in obedience to Allah. شَكَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ.
So he becomes thankful, and then it becomes good for him.
وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاءُ صَبَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ.
And if a painful affliction falls upon him, he becomes patient, and then it becomes good for him.
Yeah, it's good for him. So all of his affairs are good. Whether he's getting good or he's getting an affliction, everything is good for him. And that's the type of husn al-dhan a person, a believer should have. And whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested you with, there's a purpose. You might not understand it now, but it might come clear to you later, maybe, or maybe it never comes clear to you, but it doesn't matter. Whether it's clear to you, whether it's not clear, husn al-dhan billah, that you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing this for a purpose, there's wisdom behind it, and it's not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just wants to destroy you, or no, this is not the purpose. If you're a true believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test you. We constantly quote this ayah a lot in this lesson, and I'll quote it again. أَمْ حَسَبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُم مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِن قَبْلِكُم مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ مَتَىٰ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. You want to translate that?
Did you think, or did you perceive that you were going to enter the paradise, and the وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُم مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِن قَبْلِكُم, and like that, I don't know how to translate.
Like the afflictions that befell the people before you are not going to befall you. You think that you're not going to have to go through these trials like they went through. مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. So they had to go through all types of poverty and hunger and sickness and killing and wars and all these types of afflictions.
We think it ain't gonna happen to us.
Yeah, and you just think that you're gonna sit here comfortable, hunky dory, like nothing's gonna go on. Just like you're gonna chill up until you just go straight into Jannah with a VIP pass or something.
You mentioned that in your khutbah, though.
Huh?
You mentioned that.
I was gonna mention it today, but I forgot. I got caught up with yelling at everybody. So I didn't get to that part, but it was actually on the list of ayat to mention today also. Because that's what I was saying, that's what we have to do. We know not just building a community is not just like for the good times. You know, it's also for the suffering. Like we also suffer together. You know, as a community, we suffer, but we suffer for the sake of Allah. You know, just suffer, just to suffer. You know, we're doing it for Allah. There's a reward for it. You know, otherwise, what's the benefit of us suffering if there's, you know, so you remain patient. Finish the ayah first. وَزُلْزِلُوا,
And their foundation was shaken. Because you mentioned foundation.
everything, like everything just flipped upside down on you. Everything. So it's like, what are you going to do now? Everything that you know is just like what? Turned upside down on you. وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ رَسُولُ, even to the point where the messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the people with him said what? Mata nasrullah. You know, it's like, you know, they're going through all this pain and suffering. So when is the help of Allah coming? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah in what? Inna nasrullahi qareeb. The help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is near. Be patient. Be patient. When you're in that state where you're just like, when is it coming? That's when you know that it's close. You just gotta be patient just a little bit longer. Because how many people were like they just couldn't stay patient just for that little bit, and if they had just remained patient for just a little bit longer, but they couldn't. You know, but that's your, you know, alhamdulillah. That's why we read the Quran, for understanding and practice. So we know when we ever find ourselves in these types of situations where we're like our whole dunya is just getting turned up on its head, and then we're like, when is the help of Allah coming? We know what? Be patient just a little bit longer.
Mentioned that Allah in the Quran, He mentioned Allah mentioned three certain punishments, like exclusively for those who have bad thoughts of Him. Allah said, وَيُعَذِّبَ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ الظَّانِّينَ بِاللَّهِ ظَنَّ السَّوْءِ وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَنَهُمْ وَعَدَّ لَهُمْ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. So like Allah becomes angry with them, and Allah curses them, and Allah prepares for them Jahannam.
And Ibn al-Qayyim, but I need to find it. He has a beautiful, beautiful section, but I can't remember where I read it this morning. I got to go back and I'm going to reread all of his books again, inshallah. But it was a whole section on, like, you know, just done the soap. You can find it online. You can look it up. Just type in Ibn al-Qayyim of Sultan Billah or done the soap, and he goes over that and he says whoever does this, because he's talking about the people that you think, like, if you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just going to leave the believers and allow these kuffar to come in and overtake this deen, you know, called, you know, done the soul. Like, this is done the soul. This is because you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to give victory to this deen. We might not all make it, but what? But the overall victory,
yes,
I mean, people are going to fall off in battles, and battles might even be lost. But the overall victory is for the believers.
It may not be in our lifetime, but
Yeah. All right. So after that, he said, فَأَسْلَمَ لِرَبِّهِ انْقِيَادًا وَخُضُوعًا وَظُلًّا وَعُبُودِيَةً. All right. So he said, فَأَسْلَمَ لِرَبِّهِ. So he surrendered himself to his Lord. انْقِيَادًا. What does that mean?
Fully accepting everything.
Yeah, he's like, he just falls in line with the commands of Allah. This is what Allah said, he just inqad. He just does it, just carries it out. No questions asked.
hesitation.
Yeah, you know, no questions asked. He said, انقيادا وخضوعا. خضوعا, it means what? Yeah, with humility. تذللا. Like, you know, he does it in a very humble way. He's not arrogant. He's like, oh, look at me, I'm so righteous. You know, I do this and I do this. No, he does it with humility. All right.
I actually, subhanAllah, I was thinking, after عليهم دائرة السوء, I forgot to mention عليهم دائرة السوء. غضب الله عليهم ولعنهم وعليهم.
He said, وَخُضُوعًا وَظُلًّا. That's the same, but like, because khudu'an is that you lower yourself. Like, you know that these are the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you put the commands of Allah over your own desires, over your own, whatever it is that you want. No, this is the commands of Allah, this goes first. This is the first priority. Dhullan is more like humility. Humility, yeah. Alright. وَعُبُودِيَةً, and a state of servitude. وَسَلَّمَ جَمِيعَ أَحْوَالِهِ وَأَقْوَالِهِ وَعَمَالِهِ وَأَذْوَاقِهِ وَمَوَاجِيدِهِ ظَاهِرًا وَبَاطِنًا مِنْ مِشْكَاتِ رَسُولِهِ. So he said, and he surrenders all of his affairs, everything, from his statements, all right, from his actions, from his adawaq. What does that mean? Like his pleasures, I guess you could say.
Like the taste and things you have.
Yeah, the pleasure. Yeah,
Desires,
like his pleasure. No, it's his pleasures. Because the dhawq is like, the taste of something.
The thing you find pleasure in.
Yeah, because the thing that that you find pleasure in, it's got like that sweetness to it, right? So this is that dhawq, So the adawaq. So everything, he submits everything from his affairs, from his statements. His statements, he keeps them in line with what? The commands of Allah and His Messenger. All right, and he refrains from things that are prohibited speech, things that, we shouldn't be talking about, or things that we shouldn't say, statements that might fall into shirk, or statements that might fall into like vulgarity, or anything like that has been prohibited in this deen, right? And he said, wa amalihi, and all of his actions, all right, are in line with the obedience to Allah and His Messenger. Wa adwaqihi, the things that he takes pleasure in. So he's not taking pleasure in the things that are what? Disobedient to Allah. He takes pleasure in the halal, the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed him to do. Because alhamdulillah, we got so much stuff that we can do that's halal, but people, their hearts are so sick that they sit there and say, oh, you guys make everything haram. No, what? Allah's made haram for you the things that are going to cause you to do what?
Self-destruction.
Yeah, this is what we talking about in the khutbah today. It's like this deen, it brought you honor, akhi. It brought you, dignity. The sins is what degrades you, is what take you down and debase you. That's what it is, because now these sins are you putting your desires as a God besides Allah. That's going to put you down in the dirt. That's going to humiliate you. But the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not. It's the opposite. And there's a lot of halal, But we live in a society of kuffar, so obviously what you see in front of you is what? Mostly haram, right? Because the things that the people want to do, they want to go out with the girls, they want to listen to the music, they want to go to the movies, they want to do all these types of things, but they can't do them. All right, but they're not looking at all the things that are halal because they don't find pleasure in the obedience to Allah. If they found pleasure in the obedience of Allah, they would rather be in the masjid on a Friday night than be in a mall or out, at a party or a club or something like that. They would want to be right here. This is where they want to be at. They don't want to be anywhere else. They want to be somewhere where they can be in the obedience of Allah because that's where they find pleasure, or in a library, an Islamic library, right?
I love it.
Yeah, that's why we need to hurry up because I got to go home and read fetal now. Thanks to Hamza.
Thanks to Allah.
Well, thanks to Allah. Thumma anta. La yashkuru Allah man la yashkuru nas, right? All right. I think, let me see, because it's getting late, actually. Look at any questions, inshallah, because I think you get the idea, right? With Qalb Salim. There's more, but you get that, right now it's just like beating you over the head with a hammer after I've already knocked you into submission, right? So you got it, right?
Did you answer the question?
I haven't answered any questions.
Oh, no questions. So stop.
I have not even, I just looked.
Start to bottom, or?
I haven't talked about nothing. I can't even really see.
Did you want to go in order, or?
No, I don't care.
Okay. للمسلمين الحمد لله رب العالمين says.
Hold on, I gotta say one thing. Hamid said we spent an hour reading 2 paragraphs. No, Hamid, we spent an hour understanding 2 paragraphs, not reading. Because anybody can just read it, but you want to understand it. You want to really take something out of it.
Even Sahaba, they wouldn't pass by 10 ayat unless they learn the ilm, the amal, then they go on.
Yeah, that's why they would spend like a year or more just on Surah Al-Baqarah.
And let me say this. I come to these classes to get understanding, because I can go home and read those hadiths myself, but I can't understand it.
Yes, even if it takes an hour.
I come to understand.
Sa'id al-Musayyib, didn't he travel months just for 1 hadith? No, complaining for 2.
No, he's not complaining.
No, I think
that's Hamid, man. Hamid's the serious person. This is not no chicken fingers, man. Hamid ain't no chicken fingers. Chicken fingers is a la'ab, that comes into the chat. And he's got a new name every day. Penguin fingers, chicken fingers. What was the last time?
That part right
the
there.
Lion of Shirkholm or something like that.
One time he put chicken patty for that.
No, he said, I'm not chicken patty.
Penguin fingers.
Penguin fingers.
No, penguin feet or something like that.
Anaconda.
Oh, anaconda fingers. But
Which one, Hamid, the beard that sits in the front?
No, Hamid here.
And Juma?
No, he's
no,
not.
online.
Oh,
I think Hamid, where you live in New York or something? I don't know. I think he lives on the East Coast.
okay.
إلى المسلمين الحمد لله رب العالمين says
He's going late at night.
أحسن الله إليكم. If one accidentally says Bismillah في أوله وآخره on the first sip or bite, what should they do?
Oh, that's it, yeah, I would like to.
You drink.
What?
No, because see,
No, no.
I just
Awesome.
realized that before we eat, we
Awesome.
just say
Awesome.
Alhamdulillah.
وصل أوله يعني أوله وآخره.
Yeah, so, I mean, he said Bismillah, awwalahu wa akhiruhu, so drink. Yeah. Four things of Bismillah. He thought, so maybe the person thought that they didn't say it, but they said Bismillah, awwalahu wa akhiruhu.
Guy says,
But,
Well, hold on.
but, all right, I had a question. What should we say before? Because I've always said Bismillah before I eat. Then I heard we should say Alhamdulillah before.
No, you say Bismillah. You say Alhamdulillah when you finish.
Oh.
Okay, and the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الله يحب إلى العبد إذا أكل أكلة أن يحمد عليها أو يشرب. I think this is it. I'm sure about the first part. يأكل أكلة فيحمد عليها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves from a servant if he eats food and that he يحمده عليها, that he says Alhamdulillah when he gets finished. Yeah.
Yeah, the people. Yeah, there's. I had got somebody that was in some internet.
But I'm pretty
class.
sure that second part of the hadith, you can check it on the phone. And يشرب شربة يحمده عليها. And then he drinks a drink, and then he also says Alhamdulillah when he finishes.
So it is Bismillah. We said.
Bismillah when you start. But you say Bismillahi awwalahu wa akhiruhu. If you think that you forgot, like if you forgot to say it, then you say Bismillah awwalahu wa akhiruhu. In the beginning and the end.
Wa'akadahu,
No, akhirahu.
hero.
No,
You didn't write that down for me. I had to read it.
I was hip.
What y'all gotta do is you gotta get Hisn al-Muslim. There's a Hisn al-Muslim, inshallah. We'll try to like order some copies of that.
Sounds.
No, Hisn al-Muslim is like the fortress of the believer. It's like this little book for like dua. But they get you get the Arabic and the English translation. So that way you memorize the
Send
Arabic.
that to my wife.
I got a better suggestion. Make a list of books that you suggest we get. Because it's nothing for me to go home and order. Nothing, I ain't gonna remember it.
Oh, this one's important. The Hisn al-Muslim is important, but you need to make sure that what you're memorizing is authentic. Most of the book is authentic, but there's some stuff in there that's not authentic. You know.
Okay, but I still need to.
I mean, Hamza called me out because I memorized something 22 years ago from Hisn al-Muslim. Never went back and checked it, and I've been doing it the whole time. And he said to me, "Hey, what you're doing is da'if." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Nah. Then I went back and checked it. I was like, "Oh, yeah." Man, so you got to be careful. You have to watch out for this. I mean, that was something that I memorized when I was sitting for Fareed. From Hisn al-Muslim, I had it then, you know.
Okay, well, you're getting away from this book list. What
It's called-
I need a little, just 10 books.
No, right
10
now,
books.
Hisn al-Muslim. It's called the fortress of the believer.
Okay, what you say?
But you want the Arabic with the English. Don't just get the English, because you got to memorize the dua in Arabic, and you have the English translation. I got like 30 copies of 40 hadiths.
Do you?
Jarir.
'Cause I was gonna order some.
People from Jarir are listening. Jazakumullah khair. Allah, you better keep them. They sent me a whole.
Yeah, I gotta order the 40 hadith and the 40 hadith good seat for my wife.
No, we got it. I got it. 40 hadith.
the time.
All right, come on. All right, what's the next? Nothing else.
else.
Y'all cool? You in a hurry? Let me know, because we'll end it right now if you say so.
No, I was just asking about that.
No, okay. Well, go ahead, Saif. Ruh Kharaj. Adhan Alan. That way you go ahead, call the Adhan, so it's done, and that way we can, and then we'll just, as soon as we're done, we just go straight into the Salat, inshallah.
Guy says, can you please give an advice to a aspiring student that attends lessons a lot but doesn't frequent his books for revision, and also how to combine between studying / revision and attending lessons?
He sits in classes, but he doesn't revise. You're wasting your time. You're only as good as your ability to discipline yourself for revision. You don't revise, and it's just like you're just sitting in the class just to get information. That's it.
And revise meaning what?
You go back and you memorize and revise what you took in the class. As I told y'all before, like let's use an example like let's use like Al-Ajurumiyya as an example. All right. So before you study, for the people that don't know, Al-Ajurumiyya is a book in Arabic grammar. It's the most basic book in Arabic grammar. So before you study Al-Ajurumiyya, what do?
You memorize it.
You memorize it. And you try your best to understand it. And you take maybe like one sharh. Maybe let's say,
Ibn Uthaymeen.
I would like Ibn Uthaymeen because the way that he did it with the questions and answers, it's more beneficial for you. So you try to understand whatever you understand. Then you take the class. So, but it depends. Though. Honestly, let me backtrack. What book is the person going to be teaching? So let's say that he is teaching like a Tuhfat al-Saniyya or a Tuhfat al-Wasabiyya or any of these basic explanations of Al-Ajurumiyya. You take that book alone. You take a notebook and you start writing out the stuff that you need to memorize. After you memorize the small book, then you write out the definitions and the rules, all right? And you start to memorize this. Good job. All right. Now you go to the class, and what are you looking for in the class?
Clarification.
Well, number one, you're going to check and make sure that your understanding of what you got is correct. And that way, if it's not, then you fix it. And number two, you're looking for extra stuff that the teacher's going to give you to further explain something better. You take those notes and you add whatever notes you add that to the stuff that you've already memorized. And then you got to keep revising it. You have to keep revising it. You just can't just do all that. What's the benefit of doing all this work to get something into your memory just to let it go? And because of negligence. So, I mean, the best way to revise like these types of things is to teach them, all right? You go and you teach them, because the more you teach it, the more you're revising every time that you teach. So when you teach, like when you study Arabic grammar and you get to the point where you're like, okay, I got this. Not like, you don't have to be like Siboy, but you got the basics, right? You can, do the basics. You start teaching it. You start teaching it. And then you go to like a Usul al-Fiqh, you study like a Waraqah. Same thing. You memorize the method, either the method or the Nazm, whichever one you want to memorize. Most people, they memorize the Nazm of Al-Amriti, which is a poem, all right? Because the book is written out in a poem form, right? So you memorize the poem, and you read the explanation of whatever is going to be taught. You go to the class, you take the notes, and for the further explanation. Sometimes the teachers will give you resources. This is what they used to do in Damat. I don't know if they do this in Sardiya, but the students, they would tell you, like, I took this information out of this book, page Kada, from this book, page Kada. So then you go to the library, you take those books off, you research it, and you want to write it out the exact way that you find it in the book, and then that's what you memorize. And you keep revising it, and then you teach it. So revision is the most important thing. The fun thing is the memorization and studying. That's the fun part. People love that everybody can do that. But what separates the student from like these imams is what?
Sitting in the lessons.
No, it's that revision. That disciplining yourself to keep going back over and over and over it. Because once you've read something like 100 times, 200 times, you might think you got it, but go leave that for like a year, see if you still got it. So when they asked Bukhari about what was his secret to success, he said, Madawamat another. He said, constantly keeping my eyes in those books, keep revising and revising, and keep going over and going over it and over and over and over again. That's the secret to success. But just like sitting there just memorizing something, studying something, and leaving it, no, that's the secret to failure. It's not even a secret, right?
Okay, I'd have to mention this because he said it in a public area.
You gotta block somebody.
No.
Block him, Savo.
Like, I would rather have him not say it in front of everyone because this has.
Is it one of those vulgar questions?
No. But it has.
Block him.
It has a major effect. Wallahi, like people can suffer from major OCD because of this question. Like major OCD.
What is OCD?
Oh, obsessive compulsive disorder.
How can you?
Extreme waswas.
Just
there you go. Yeah.
What it is?
What do you
Spend 3 hours on an introduction. Go ahead.
what do you say to someone who keeps shaving or having whispers that he has done kufr and keeps saying the shahada over and over again?
Do your afkar sabah al-masa. No, man, this is a question I keep getting from the same person, and maybe it's the same person on social media. Look, man, that was whatever you're doing is causing shaitan to have that saytur alayk, with the wasawas, then you need to fix that. Do the afkar al-sabah, do the afkar al-masa, stay in the remembrance of Allah.
Also, if
How
you ever
know they're shaking whispering? You could be whispering to yourself.
Also, this helped me a lot. I'm not saying I suffer with OCD, but it helps a lot, especially with those who I talk to, because I help people with extreme waswas, and all of them give me the same results. From one of the major things that I help them with is when you start to get a lot of waswas, you need to say "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim" with full conviction, with full certainty that Allah will help you. It may not work the first time, but it'll lessen it. Just say it again, and then say it again. It works super good by the permission of Allah.
Or every time that you get a wasawas, buy a book. At least you end up with a library.
Yeah, that works too.
You're like, man, look at this library. That's a lot of wasawas, dude. It's like, that's a lot of wasawas. Go ahead, what's nothing else?
خذ العفو وامر بالعرف واعرض عن الجاهلين وما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله انه سميع عليم.
Don't go skipping Abdul Malik's questions now.
Abdul Malik has a question.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Hello, yes, sir.
I don't know. I'm trying to find it.
No, I don't see he has any questions.
All right, I got a question, man. Let me come with them all right. Y'all get your questions. I want to get back to this wash. Why, because we have a habit of blaming everything on the whispers, but during Ramadan, they say Shaitan is locked up, and we get the same whispers during Ramadan. So, where is it coming from?
You.
That's my point. I just wanted to point that out. We want to blame everything on Shaitan. Some of this stuff is coming from us. It's coming from us.
See, like, let's say you have a pot of water, right?
Yeah.
And you take a spoon and you start to stir it. Even though, like, you're the cause of the stirring, you take that spoon out, what's going to happen to the water? Is it still going to continue?
Yeah.
Because you...
Well, see, Shaitan, I think he's an exploiter.
Thank you.
He does
So
what
he's
he does.
whispering what's in us.
Whatever your weakness is, he's going to exploit it.
Thank you.
If he sees you very serious in the deen, he's going to push you to what? Transgression and extremism. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You need to do more. Because he's going to try to get you to burn yourself out. Because he knows if you burn yourself out, you'll just quit. If he sees you lazy, then he's gonna make you heavy. He's gonna push you. So all Shaitan does, he's an exploiter.
What's in us.
Yeah, because that stuff is already in you. So you know, and that's why we always talk about this. The jihad is of three types. Well, you have the jihad al-nafs, the jihad al-shaitan. What is the fourth one?
جهاد الشيطان, جهاد النفس, جهاد المنافقين, وجهاد الكفار.
Well, the munafiqun are kuffar. So I mean, that's the kuffar. The jihad al-munafiqin is really with the kuffar because they are kuffar. But then the jihad al-kuffar, like qasam al-qasmain, because you have the jihad al-sayf, and then you have the jihad with like refutations, and because even that's not even with just the kuffar. That's also with ahl al-bid'ah and things like that. But the jihad al-nafs. And the jihad, if you're already losing that jihad of yourself, well, you're done, Akhi. You know what I'm saying? So you haven't even passed level 1. You know what I'm saying? So so you have to first you get control of yourself, then you can fight off the wasawas of shaitan. Then you can start talking about fighting off the enemies of this deen. But you got all these people on Twitter talking about like Palestine this, Palestine that. Akhi, you can't even, like, seriously, man, you can't even stop doing one thing. You can't control yourself for one day, Akhi. What good are you going to do for the Muslims in Palestine or anywhere else? But if we want to help any Muslim, first off, we got to start all of us. Like I said, this has to be everybody together. This is, me, it might have an effect for me, but it's not going to have an effect on the Ummah. We all have to do this together. First, jihad al-nafs, We fight ourselves, and we fight our, and how do we fight our desires?
With knowledge.
Yeah, with knowledge. That comes with knowledge first, because we need to know what desires are in line, because the desires that are in line with the Quran and the Sunnah, it's not that you need to how can I say that, cultivate that. But those desires that go against and go into the disobedience of Allah and His Messenger, that's what you need to get rid of. But you need to know what that is first. Without knowledge, you're lost. And the same thing with shaitan. How do you know? You don't know the reality of shaitan until you have knowledge. And you can't fight against the whisperings of shaitan until you got control of yourself first. And then you go on to level 3, and then we deal with the enemies. But actually, we're losing that. We're losing on level 1 as a ummah. As a whole entire ummah, we can't get past level 1. The 99.999% of the Muslims can't get past level 1, which is just controlling yourself. So what are we going to do? Well, like right now, the Muslims in the West, if the internet and electricity were to cut out in all of America, you know what I'm saying? Imagine like how the people would be. Me and my family, it depends now if it's summer or winter. If it's winter, we'd be like, Jannah. We get some candles and start reading books by candlelight. Like, man, we're back in Yemen again. But I'm saying, it's just like, but most people, they won't be able to do it. They won't be able to survive. Their desires are just too attached to these things, I think. So, I mean, there you go. It's just that loss of that loss of that first one. That level 1, you can't even get past that. So what good are you? Everybody wants to talk about level 3.
I was addressing that person because it's like people always want to say like the devil made me do it. I look at people, so I be like, man, sometimes a lot of that be you, bro.
No, it is him. Who do you think?
It's easy to say somebody made me do it.
What was Shaitan going to tell those people on the Day of Judgment?
In the Day of Judgment or in hell?
Huh?
In hell or in the Day of Judgment?
Day of Judgment.
No. Well, read the ayah. Go. إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم وما كان علي عليكم من سلطان إلا دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم ما أنا بمصرخكم ولا أنتم بمصرخية إني كفرت بالذي أشركتموني من قبل. So he said here, this is shaitan. I mean, like I said, when you read the Quran, you understand the Quran, you understand the reality of shaitan. Now you know the enemy that you're up against. This is your enemy. You need to know yourself. And I hate to quote Sun Tzu, but Sun Tzu spoke the truth here. Sadaqa wa huwa kadhub. What did he say, Sun Tzu, when he said, if you know yourself, but you don't know your enemy, for every battle that you win, you're going to lose one. But he said, if you know yourself, and you know your enemy, then what? Yeah, you're going to win every single battle. But he said, what about the person who neither knows himself nor his enemy? You lost yourself, and you don't even know the enemy that you're fighting against, which is our first primary enemy is shaitan. Before all these other, because that's the enemy we got to fight first. So here's the shaitan, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you about him. Once everything is gone, and everybody's, these people going to hellfire, and these people going to Jannah. Now, what are these people now that obey shaitan? What do they say? You want to say it now? You want to translate it? I didn't say recite it again. I already read it.
Just to pick out a certain spot.
Inna Allah wa'adakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you a promise of truth. Wa wa'adtukum, and I promised you. But I did not fulfill my promise. Allah fulfilled His promise. Shaitan's telling you, but I did not fulfill my promise. This is what Allah is telling you what He's going to tell the people on this day. And He said, but I did not fulfill the promise that I made to you. But Allah fulfilled His, right? He said, وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ, and I had no control over you. إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. It's probably the fireworks at the baseball party.
It is.
Yeah. They have a home game and maybe they won. So he said, I had no control over you. But all I did was I called you and I told you to do something and you did it. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي, don't blame me. وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, but blame only yourselves. مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ, I can't do anything to help you or get you out of this situation. وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِيَّ, and you can't do anything to get me out of this situation. All of them were being punished. Nobody can help the other person. And he said, Inni, now here's the good. this is the good part, right? إِنِّي كَفَرَتُ بِالَّذِي أَشْرَكْتُمُونِي مِنْ قَبْلِ. So Shaitan tells the people that I disbelieved in you.
بما أشرك.
بما أشركتموني من قبل. جزاك الله خير. He said that I disbelieved in what you associate you because you obeyed Shaitan. And that means you're setting up Shaitan as like a partner beside of Allah.
And he's saying, I don't even
And he
believe
said,
that.
I disbelieved in what that shirk that you committed.
Wow.
I disbelieved in it.
I don't even believe it. That's
Yeah.
tough.
So, I mean, that's your enemy. So, but you need to understand this. You need to understand what you're up against. One, yourself is your biggest enemy.
So what I'm saying is we need to quit the cop out that
No, but-
Shaitan made me do everything.
No, that's not taking accountability. And a person that doesn't take accountability for his actions is a loser.
Yes.
It's a loser mentality. But we do need to go over this one day, inshallah, maybe next week, next Friday, about the different types of anfus. Where Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he talked about the different type of anfus, the nafs. That the people have like three types, I think it's three types, right? Al-amarat bis-su. When he said that, it's like how you act is like all of these three anfus are within us at the same time, but one gets stronger based on. But inshallah, we'll go over what he said exactly. Inshallah.
Like in Surah Al-Ma'idah في نبأ بني آدم. So فطوعت له نفسه قتل أخيه. So the nafsu is it talking about his النفس الأمارة بالسوء?
Yeah, because that's the nafs that will put you to what?
Jahannam.
No, to the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Anything else?
So فطوعت mean, what does that mean? فطوعت? Like it overpowered him? Or?
طاوعت عليه زينته وشجعته عليه.
فطوعت له.
And it just happened to write that down today. It was right there in the notebook.
I take a picture.
What are these for?
Those were supposed to be for the people that were filling out the donations. But I think maybe Abdul Rahim got hyped up and forgot to.
Yeah, there wasn't nobody saying anything.
Yeah, I think he forgot. Because he was gone.
No, I seen people with papers. I think they went downstairs.
Oh, he
and
might
got
have.
papers. من المسلمين الحمد لله رب العالمين says, if one's mom doesn't seek permission before entering their child's room, is the child obliged to lock the door when changing or when their awrah is exposed?
I mean, if you're changing your clothes, yeah, but let them know. But other than that, if you want to lock the door and you want your privacy, start paying rent.
Yeah, but
only
we're
lock
talking
my
about a
door.
child or a teenage. Wait, let's clarify that. A child or a person of maturity. Because if you 3 or 4 years old, 5 years old, you got the right to tell me nothing.
No, but he's talking about like if the person's changing, though.
And that's why I said it to the child. I don't care if he is changing. If he's 4,
No,
or whether he's 12.
This is a grown person, so.
I only lock my
I mean,
door.
look, first off, if there are specific times that the people understand that these are like for example, before you're getting ready for bed. So like, let's say like, okay, you tell your parents, I'm gonna go get ready for bed. So now you go up and you go up and you lock your door. All right, that's understandable, right? Because you're going up to change to get ready for bed. At certain times it is understood, but to like lock the door.
But doesn't the Quran speak about that? Because if I'm not, isn't it speaking about times of undress?
Yeah, but that's those times of undress, like what was mentioned in the
So
Quran.
at those times,
حين
you
تضعون
feel like
ثيابكم
times of undress.
في الظهيرة, right? But that's because they used to take a nap in the daytime, but
In the
us,
daytime, it's-
we don't do that, so it goes back to the customs. Us, we go to sleep at night. The majority of the people, they don't take those naps during the day. So when you put your clothes down it's gonna be for the night. So that's the time of
Time of
privacy.
undress.
Yeah, you shouldn't go barging into people's rooms in those times. Yeah.
Hamid Jamal says, what do you think we letting someone who's wearing pants reading the salah? I think like wearing jeans. Like jeans and a button-up shirt.
And if the pants are like tight to the point where you can see, you know, the shape of the aura, you shouldn't be leaving salah.
Shouldn't have my own period.
I'm saying if you got like baggy pants or something like that where it doesn't like the aura, but I mean like, you know, the dude's like bends over and it's just like you can tell like the pants are like begging for mercy. You
Shouldn't have my
know,
own period.
you shouldn't be leaving salah, man. Like, dude, nobody wants. Oh, come on, man. Could you imagine that being in the front row and like this? No. Find somebody with thoba.
There's two more questions.
And what's sad is if Mr. Tight Jeans, Mr. Skinny Jeans is the half of the Quran. That's the scary thing, right? You know, but Allah Musta'an.
Just the last two questions. Mustafa says, if someone has doubts in tahara, salah, etc., can they just act upon what they are pretty sure of, like don't know 3 or 4 rak'at, and he decides 4 since he thinks...
You said tahara or are you talking about salah? What, you just jumped. Read the question again.
If someone has doubts in tahara, salah, etc., can they just act upon what they are pretty sure, like don't know 3 or 4 rak'at?
Actually, it depends on you, your situation. Like, you know, certain people, they're just like gassy people, right? Maybe he didn't remember passing gas, but he's just one of those gassy people. But, you know, he can't really maintain wudu for a long time. So if he's unsure, he gonna make wudu. It's not like it's gonna harm you, you know? The Prophet ﷺ, when he was talking about la yansaraf, he was talking about in the salat. He was talking about the salat. He said, you know, if a person is in the salat, وَيُخَيِّلُ إِلَيْهِ, because there's another narration of the hadith. Are you guys ready for this? Where, you know, shaitan, I can't remember the exact wording, but he said, in the shaitan yati ahadakum wa yanfukh fi maq'udatihi. You know, that he blows in his backside, you know, and then it causes him to think like, what? I passed gas, or I did something that, you know, I broke wind. So he does this to confuse the person in the salat. So that's the actual, look up the wording of the hadith, can you? You know, yati ahadakum shaytan wa yanfukh. But look at it, he used the word maq'adatihi, what was the word that he used? But, so that was the whole point, that when you're in salat, and shaitan does this to you, la yansaraf, that he shouldn't leave the salat, illa and what? And yasma' sawtan aw yajid rihan. You know, you should not leave the salat unless you hear a sound or you smell a smell. Like you're sure that you passed gas.
Okay, I want to react because I think I understand what he's saying because I want to clarify. It's like if I'm making salat and I'm not sure whether I did one rak'ah or two.
One second. في مقعدته.
إذا وجد ذلك فلا ينصرف حتى يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا.
مخرج من أخرجه
البزار وصله في الصحيحين من حديث عبد الله بن زيد ومسلم عن أبي.
متفق عليه. All right, so that's what that is referring to. So the hadith is referring to what like shaitan does to a person to try to distract him and get him out of the salat.
All right, but what if you're unsure? Like sometimes I will be like, is this the 4th rak'ah, the 3rd rak'ah? And then I think I understand this question. So what I tell myself, like, should I assume I did 3, or because I can't remember, should I assume I didn't do it?
Whatever you're sure about.
So if I'm not sure I did a rak'ah,
like if you're like,
then
no,
do
what I'm saying is
rak'ah.
like if you're like, did I do 3? Am I on the 3rd one? Or I'm on the 4th
So
one?
you're unsure.
But you're sure that I at least did 3, then you build on 3.
Okay.
And then you do the sujood sahw. Because it's better for you to pray 5 rak'ahs and, you know, and
That's all I'm
pray
doing.
1 extra and do the sujood sahw than it is to pray 3, you know, because you didn't, the salat is invalid because you didn't pray the 4 rak'ahs.
Okay, that's important.
So you go back to the asl, what you're sure about. The yaqeen, you go back to the yaqeen. So the yaqeen is surety, certainty. So whatever you're certain about, if you're certain that you prayed 3, then that's it. You build from 3. I'm on the 3rd rak'ah. Doesn't matter. Khalas, and just go from there. You know.
So if you make error in prayer, and this is basically on the same thing. I thought you could just, before you salam all the way out, you salam out to the right, and then before you salam out to the left, you do your sujood again.
No, you do the sujood sahwi before you
Yeah.
salam out.
And
But,
that'll clear up that.
Not if it's less though, not if you pray less. If like, for example, you're supposed to pray 4 rak'ahs.
Yes.
You prayed 3.
Yes.
No, for that salat to be valid, you need to come with that 4th rak'ah. That's why he said, you go back. That's why if you're not sure if you prayed 3 or you prayed 4, then go to what you're certain about. You're certain that you prayed 3. You don't have any doubt with that. You go with 3. It's better to pray 5 than to pray 5 out of 4 than to pray 3 out of 4, because 3 out of 4 is not valid. You know, so you still have to make up that rak'ah. Yeah.
من المسلمين الحمد لله رب العالمين says, how can one with waswas, waswas, stop thinking they're innocent? Can I answer this one? I can answer this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm mentioned from the Quran. Allah said in Surah Al-A'raf, وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Like, and whenever shaitan suggests you with an evil suggestion, then seek refuge with Allah. إِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ بَصِيرٌ.
All right, another question. And make it an important one so we can go home. I know it's Friday night. We
Yes.
got to get back here for Fajr.
من المسلمين
Hold
الحمد
on.
لله.
Robert.
This is not on this subject, but it's on that, when you sneeze. If the person don't say, Alhamdulillah, we're not supposed to say Alhamdulillah?
No.
Yeah, we're not supposed to say it, right?
He had to say alhamdulillah first. But what I do sometimes, I'll remind him. If a person
But
sneezes, I'll be say
If
alhamdulillah.
somebody says, like, if somebody sneezes and says Alhamdulillah, then
Then we,
you know, everybody's supposed to say Alhamdulillah. Even Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he mentioned that even if you see a person sneezing like up over in front of you, and you see him mouth the words Alhamdulillah, that you say Alhamdulillah, as long as you know that he said it. Yeah. But if he
But
didn't
if
say
he don't
it,
say it, you don't.
I mean, maybe he said it, but you didn't hear it. You can't respond to what you don't hear. You know. So I mean, I joke with my kids. We do this all the time in the house, right? One of us sneezes, like I said, Alhamdulillah, but I don't hear anybody say it back. I said Alhamdulillah. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then they're like, "We said Alhamdulillah. I didn't hear you." You know, so, but I mean, you can only respond to what you hear.
yes.
You know, some people they do that, right? They come up and say, they do it like real in a light voice. And you're like, you didn't hear him, right? Say, yeah, hey, I gave you salams. Yeah, hey, you speaking like Michael Jackson. Nobody can hear you, right? You know, it's like, Michael, salam alaikum. You gotta speak like a man, dude, so we can hear you, man. Seriously.
فاستعذ بالله إنه سميع عليم. No, it's not Surah Fussilat. Surah Fussilat doesn't have, it's different. In Surah Al-Araf, it's Sami'un. And no, in Surah Al-Araf, it's Sami'un. Surah Fussilat, As-Sami'un.
تعطيه الكرسي
Huh?
تعطيه الكرسي
I'm about to.
No, it's because,
You know what my son just said?
Just close out.
no, because he said Hamza.
He said, give Hamza the chair.
No,
He
because,
said, go ahead, give him the chair.
because he said Hamza in Surah Fussilat.
Man, one
That's
more
why.
question. Let's go.
Is it permissible for a woman to take self-defense classes, but the female instructor Awrah is showing?
No.
And
The women,
Should be protected by men.
no, I'm saying, no, women should take self-defense classes, but not with some half-naked woman either. You know, because it's not permissible for women to expose themselves in front of
I
other women.
read that. You know, women cannot look at another woman nakedness nor lay up under the cover together.
Yeah, because that leads to other corruption. So, but as far as women learning how to defend themselves, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, the women should know how to defend themselves because the men aren't always going to be there. It's just the reality of life. Women should be out at times anyways where like she's putting herself in danger, but you know, we got crazy jokers all times of the day. So, but you know, she should learn self-defense with a woman who's properly clothed. You know, so that's why the Muslims, we should be doing this stuff for ourselves. We shouldn't have to go to Kufar or any South or any type of people like this.
And we used to have self-defense classes on the Musal.
Yeah, we need to get these times back, I think.
Yeah.
We gotta bring the 80s and the 90s back. Get all the fighting and get
Well, yeah.
kids, you know, battle ready and show.
No, we used to do that. Musa and them, I used to slam them all over the Musa when they were teenagers. They tell you, that's what we used to do. This is the training. Them little brothers up there should be wrestling and slamming each other right now.
Yeah.
You don't say nothing to them.
You think you're funny?
Really.
Oh, they do. Like Obama was saying that my son, they wrestle all the time.
And that's
But they're not
important.
getting trained though. They're just wrestling.
But then, first of all, they gotta get used to that competition. Because I'm gonna tell you something. You could have Musa there. Abdul Kareem used to be right there. I used to tie him up. And he'd look at him like, because he want them to grow up to be men. Yeah, you get it over here with me. Give it to you. They rap pack me.
Yeah, we need to bring those days back. All right, man.